fancy intro. Cha-cha-cha.
Welcome back everybody, JTX Desert Rad here, and today we're checking out a game that was released just a few days ago called Dawn of Man. Now this game is an interesting game, and it basically sets you in the Stone Age, and it's a Civ game. So you basically build yourself up, there's tech trees, things like that. You build yourself up and see what you can do to advance. Now we'll jump right in and get some starting basic tutorial tips here. And the first thing you're going to want to do is set your camera angle. Now you can see the area I'm in. You get to pick different areas that you want to start in. I'm not going to show that. That just explains to you at the beginning. They'll walk you through that. But one thing you definitely want to do is set your camera angle. What I like to do on this one is I like to turn my angle so I can see the lay of the land the best. Now you can zoom out with your scroll wheel and zoom back in, which is pretty good for getting in and seeing little details. Now right at the beginning of this game, to get started, what I always like to do is go and adjust my HUD. Now as you can see up here, there's different things you can set up, and initially I like to go and set everything up like I like it. We already have general over here, but I like it over on this side, and I like to see my resources. So this tells me all the resources I have, which you can see up here. And you can also pick your transportation that you have and your animals. On this side I like to get my animals going, and you can have up to 6 different options up here at the top. Now one thing I do like to put on there is my speed. Now what this does is it speeds you up. So as you can see my people down here walking around, I can put them at 2 times speed, 4 times speed, and even to 8 times speed. So this game moves pretty slow. It's a real-time game. It's an RTS. So when people are moving as they go at basically real-time speed. So what you want to do is you want to use that. Say if you're building something you really need and there's nothing you can do, you can go ahead and get your speed changed and allow them to complete that task in a hurry. Now I also like to add on here my food chart. This tells me you never want to go below this line. So right now I'm 0 and 0. I have no food gathered, but I'll show you more on that here pretty soon. And then I like to have defense, and I'll go into the things with defense here in just a little bit. But to get started, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up a way to get food. Now the easiest way, oh there's a bear over there, but the easiest way is to click on an animal. Like I will click on this ibex here and hit hunt. If you've played a lot of games like this, say in any of your strategy games where you go in and build civilizations, it's pretty much just choose and click. Like you can grab and drag to select characters, things like that. And each of these characters, you can see the items that they have down here. He's got a wooden spear, or she, excuse me, has a wooden spear, a wooden harpoon, and she's wearing skins. Now I can go with this focus camera here and get a close-up look at her. This doesn't really help you any in the game, but it's kind of cool nonetheless. You can just get a close-up view of them and see them from the actual ground angle, which is pretty cool. And then just escape to leave. But every time you do that, it resets your camera, so you have to go back and set it how you want it. And like I said before, I like to always go ahead and get in here and set my camera angle. And the reason I do this, I always set my camera angle a certain direction, is because I know if I wander off somewhere, I don't end up getting confused because I'm rotating my camera around. So I always try to set it back to how I originally had it, so it helps me to not get lost. Now one thing that you can do if you do happen to wander out here with your camera, say you're looking for an animal or something, you're out here and you don't know how to get back, you can't find where you were located, all you have to do is hit enter or return, and it takes you back to your home, which is a very handy little feature in there. And as you can see down here, our first animal hunted, an ibex, and we got 1 knowledge for that. Now I'll go ahead and show you what that does. The knowledge takes you to the tech tree over here. So as you gain knowledge, as you can see through all these, once I get 5 knowledge, it will actually take me up and I can choose one thing from this tech tree. Now, to advance from the Paleolithic up to the Mesolithic, then the Neolithic, Copper Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age, I have to complete all of these. And once I could skip all this and get up to 15 and jump on over, but if you do that, you can run into some issues. One thing I do want to push right here early on when we're just starting is you do not want to advance too quick. Just because you can jump in here and go up to the next stage doesn't necessarily mean you want to. And the reason is there are raiders. The raiders will advance depending on the settings that you have it. The raiders can advance either with you or at their own rate. Usually I play on normal where the raiders advance at the same rate I do. So they won't be a higher level until I'm a higher level. But you definitely don't want to advance too fast because right now I only have, as you can see right here, I only have 7 in my population. Let me go ahead and hunt this reindeer here so we can get some more food. So you don't want to advance too fast because then you will start getting attacked by raiders and things like that. And you can see over here there's resources. One of the very first things you want to do is click down here in the place work area. Now once you click in the place work area, you can pick different things, whether it be gathering sticks, and we can go ahead and get people gathering sticks. You're going to need sticks to build almost everything. So you're going to want to find a group of sticks like this, go ahead and set that, and what that does is it sets a work area. So your people will come over here, they will look around in this area, and you see one coming already right here. She's going to sticks. So she's going to gather those sticks, and right here is actually a storage pile. This is one of your storage items, and it's for wood. So she will gather sticks and bring them over here and place them in the wood pile. You need those for spears, for anything like that you could use. Now, another thing that you're going to want to do right off the bat is place a work area for gathering. Now this right here helps you harvest and gather wild plants. So as you take this sign and you see the circle around it, it will show you things that can be harvested. So right here you see a group of things that's really close to us. So you want to click that right there, and that puts a workspace. So when these items are ready to be harvested, it will make one of your players come over here. Now this is a blueberry plant. If you click over here, can only be done in summer. Now you've got this little thing up here that shows you that right now it's spring. As this goes down, it will advance into the next season, and then it'll be summer. So as soon as summer comes along, it will send somebody over to this work area and they will gather those resources for you. Now as far as trees and things like this go, you can see here that we can cut down, but before we can do that, we need to advance up the tech tree to where we can get axes and things like that. But since this is just us starting out, I want to show you how to get started at the very beginning to give yourself the best possible chance. Now, you definitely have to gather sticks and resources. Those are the two things you want to jump on immediately to get gathering. You can manually set your people to hunt. If I click right here, my people will hunt this mammoth, but this mammoth is a dangerous creature. If you hit the tab button gives you a little view of what you have around you, and depending on the color that you see, kind of an x-ray, depending on the color that you see is the danger of the animal you hunt. So this animal is red, so you know it's going to be a difficult animal to hunt. So if I go after, say, one of these babies or this female here, the male bull will come after me and possibly kill or injure my people. It also shows you things you can harvest, such as this pear tree, and back over here where we set our stick, or by our stick gathering stuff where we put together plants, you can see things like that. Now we have here a wild horse that is green, which means there's going to be no harm in you. It can't hurt you if you hunt it. So I'll go ahead and set my people to hunt it. And then you just press tab again. It will take you off that. It makes it very handy when you're over in a forested area and you just want to locate something to gather food from. So keep that in mind. The tab button allows you to find those things. Right off the bat, you're going to want to hunt some of these lesser animals. Now, the other thing you're going to want to do immediately is to set yourself up a fishing area. Now what this is a work area just like with the gathering and things, and it will allow you to set an area up. I try to always get them in just the right position where I can get 3 squares. As you can see there, that gives me 3 sections that I'll fish from. If I move it a little over this way, it only gives me 2, and same going for this way. So I like to try to get them up. You can usually get them set up to where you can get 3 areas, but bam, they will immediately start fishing these areas and bringing you in some food. Now you have to realize that this is a real-time strategy game, so things happen just like in the real world. And there we go, we have slaughtered that horse. Now wherever that was, wherever that location is, it's one thing I don't like about this game is I can click on here and it'll take me to where that is, but I can't click anywhere like on any of this stuff to show me where items are. Say if I wanted to check out one of the people that I have, or if I want to check out one of the animals that later on in the game I can't click on for it to take me to the individual animals. And I think that's something they really should look into updating, because that would be extremely handy. Now with our fishing over here, they'll gather everything, and one thing you want to do as well right off the bat is click over here on build. Under your build, you can build another resident. Usually I try to start off and build another house as soon as possible. That way, and as you can see, use Z and C to rotate these, but that way if you get more people in, they will have a place to stay. Now with what I was saying earlier with you want to get this stuff done really fast is because it's real time and winter will roll up on you, and when winter comes around it is hard to gather resources. There's no plants or anything to gather. You can still gather sticks and things like that, but there's no plants that you can harvest, and the animals become far more scarce. It becomes almost impossible to find animals. So you really want to jump straight into that right off the bat. Now we've got another hut that they will eventually build over here. To do that, we're going to need some dry skin. To get the dry skin, we're going to need to set up something else to build, and that is under production. Under production, you can go, and right now the items we have is a hearth, there we go, a crafter, and a skins dryer. We already have a hearth set up right here. We have a crafter set up right here, but we do not have a skins dryer. So we can go ahead and quickly set this up over here. I like to usually set it up here near the crafter so that it will be close by. Now as soon as they come over here, say if I want them to focus on getting this skins dryer built, what I can do is come over here and set it to high priority. And what that does is it tells them, before you work on anything else, get over here and get this thing fixed for me. Get it ready, because I'm gonna need it. I need those skins before I can build my tent and before I can do some of the other stuff that's further on down the road. Now another thing that you want to build as soon as possible, very important, is get yourself a storage tent set up. You need to somewhere in here set up a storage tent, and so I'll just put it right over here so that way it's close to my central area. Now it's good to remember that over time your village will grow, so that's why you need to keep an area cleared out. Say if trees or something start growing on this area, I want to keep them cut down, because this is where my village is going to grow, and my village will end up taking in a lot of this area. So as your village grows, you're going to be adding more and more things, so you want to be sure you don't just circle everything up too tight here, because then you're not going to have room for expansion. But the storage tent is going to make it where we can store a lot of other items in. Say when we get food and things like that, we need a place to store them, so we've got to have that. Another thing I immediately want to jump into and build for production is a food dryer. Now to get that food dryer, what I'm gonna have to do is over here look in my tech tree and find food drying. Now the reason for that is, the reason you want a food dryer as soon as possible is because winter does come, food is a lot more scarce during the winter, and while you do throw stuff into your storage tent, you can throw raw meat, things like that, it spoils at a very rapid rate. So you want the food dryer as soon as possible. Let me go ahead and click on them to kill this mouflon over here. and get us some more meat. And the other reason for that is it's gonna, as I'm collecting things, it's gonna build up my points. I need 5 over here on the knowledge tree so that I can advance and get the next thing. And always immediately go for the most important thing is immediately go for the food drying. Out of everything else on here, you can get the rest later. Bone tools are handy. They are very great to have, but first and foremost, you need that food dryer because it dries out your food. It stores like jerky, so it will last much longer. And during the winter time, it can stretch over the winter. Now, when I was mentioning earlier over here on our food, it's showing out you don't want it to get below this line right here. That's showing what we need to keep the population that we have fed at the moment. So you can see our line is slowly going up over here. So we actually have an abundance right now, but it's springtime. So of course we're going to have an abundance now, but as soon as it gets fall and around winter time, the animals start getting scarce, this is going to dip dramatically. So we've got to rush and get all of this stuff as fast as we can. And as we can see over here, we now have our guy working on getting our dryer built, and that is fantastic. So as soon as that gets built, some of these skins from the hunted animals, right now they're having to store everything in the tents, but you can see there's only a limited amount of storage space in these tents. But we've got the raw skin. The raw skin also will degrade over time. So just like raw meat, it will quickly degrade. That's why it is so important to get a skin dryer up so that it'll dry it out and that skin will last longer, and to get a storage tent up so that you can store that gear in there. And when you do put, let me go ahead and show you, when you do put stuff in there, it preserves resources for longer. It deteriorates quickly and needs periodic maintenance. Everything you build does. But what it does is all of this stuff that you end up putting in there will last very, very much longer. So from the beginning, let's go over it one more time. The main things that you want to do right off the bat is you want to get that skin dryer going, because the skins dryer is going to be needed to build everything else. You're going to want to go ahead and add another tent. And as you can see right here, I have room for 6 people total housing, but I have a population of 7. So that means if wintertime sneaks up on me and rolls around, I'm going to have somebody that's standing out in the cold and they're not going to survive. And the name of this game, the important thing about this game, is keeping your population up. Anybody you lose is a loss to the entire community. Now let's go check out what this is saying here. Knowledge, and this is what I was discussing earlier. You can earn knowledge points in the game by achieving various goals and reaching larger populations, killing raiders, doing different things, and that affects the tech tree. Instead of having to read through all that, we're just going to jump over here, and as you can see, we've hit our 5 now, so we can go ahead and pick something. And like I said before, we're going to want to take our food dryer. So we've got that. Now we've got food drying unlocked. We can click on it. It'll tell us it unlocks the construction of food dryer. So what you do is you go over here to build. You go under production because it's something that you're going to produce, and you get the food dryer. I like to keep the food dryer as close to my storage as possible, because as soon as that food dries out, I want them to take it off and stick it into storage immediately so that I can have the resources saved. Now I think we've got everything pretty much set up for now. We've got somebody over here gathering sticks. They're not gathering it quite as fast as I'd like them to, because we have run out of fuel. We need that fuel over here on the fire. As you can see, we're running low and we're completely out over here in our wood pile so that they can cook to eat everything. Now we should have somebody fishing, and if we see another critter come over here, in fact, there's a wolf. Let me not mess with that one. Oh, here we go. We've got a boar right there. We'll set some people going after this boar. And you can even grab somebody and manually click on it to have them attack it. If you just click and say set it up for somebody to hunt, when the game gets time, if it has somebody to spare, it will send somebody over there to hunt that animal. But it's so much easier if you have people that aren't involved in anything, just to click on them and have them go hunt. Now, because I do have wooden implements right now, the hunting isn't exactly perfect. So as you can see right here, this boar is running away. It may escape, and if so, it's keeping these people occupied that could be doing something else. So you really want to look for young animals. You get the same amount of resources from young animals. So if you can find an animal that's wounded or young, then it helps a lot, and you can take them out a lot easier. In fact, some of the baby animals, when you find them, it's only one shot. So as we hit that boar and it took off running, with the young animals, it'll hit them once and they keel over right there, and you don't have to worry about them running away and chasing them down. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind at the very beginning. Now let's go ahead and speed it up so we can see just how this operates here. And look at that food. That food is jumping way up. But before we do that, let me go ahead and go over this right quick. This is in case raiders attack. Now, right now, we don't really have to worry about raiders. This is going to be further down the line after we've advanced up in the ages. But you can alert everyone. If they've got weapons, they'll get ready to fight. And if they don't have weapons, they'll run inside a building and hide and be safe until the conflict is over. And these are doors for when we get gates, which we don't have gates for right now. But let's go ahead and speed this up so you can see everybody running around and building, and let's see what we can get them to do. And look at that. Now you can see over here they're rapidly building. This goes so slow, but you can see they rapidly built that hut. Now we have an extra place for that 7th person. It's no longer red over here. In fact, we've got space for 9 people. So hopefully somebody will either be born into the tribe, or other people, if they like our tribe, if we're doing well. If we click right here and see our welfare is at 67%, you want that welfare as high as you can get, and it'll allow other people to see us and think, wow, that's a good place they have going on, and so they will come move in with us and increase our tribe numbers. Now down here we unlocked a milestone. Let's click on that. Hunting and gathering milestone unlocked. So that's pretty awesome. That means we've gathered, we've hunted, we're doing pretty good. And whoops, it reset the camera again. So I'm going to go ahead and spin it back around, and Q and E are what you use to spin the camera around and get back in the position that I like it to be set in. Now they're still going at a rapid pace, and we'll watch here as they continue to build. Now you can see these wild animals going by. Don't worry and have your people run away if, say, these wild cave bears or a cave lion or something like that comes into your area. They typically won't attack you. Every great once in a while one will. As long as you're not hunting them, they pretty much leave you alone. But every once in a while you might get a wounded one or a hungry one, and they will attack somebody. But there's not a lot you can do about it in the beginning. So that's the basics for now. I'll let you go ahead and see what happens when winter rolls around. Let's see here, we're in the middle of summer. We're going to keep it fast paced, and here we go with storage. As you can see down there, it told us we ran out of storage slots, so that's why it's so important to get this stuff started as early as possible. You want it as early as you can, because it takes a while for this stuff to get built and everything to be set up. It's just like in real time. They have a very difficult time building everything. It's not instant. So it takes a bit. Now we have our food dryer up. So as they go over here and fish, and as they collect meat, they're gonna come over here and put stuff. You can see right here, we've got raw meat and raw fish up on the dryer. And those are gonna, and it just changed to fall. You can tell by the color change. And here's fall showing up here. And this is our little temperature gauge showing us what our temperature is. And what I love about having this up here is it shows us everything we have. So right now we've got skins outfits. Those are for the cold weather. So right now we've got 7 people, and we've got enough cold weather gear for them to wear. Now, one of the things I should have jumped into earlier, but I was really wanting to get this other stuff down, is over here in the crafter. You want to go ahead and right click all 3 of these right off the bat, and that can be the very first thing you do. I know I'm a little late on doing it, but it should be something you do right off the bat, very first thing. And the reason is, these are things you need immediately. The biface is used basically to scrape hides and to butcher meat. So you need that for whenever you are butchering animals. We happen to be in an area with quite a few animals, and look, there's our food dipping down again like I said it would when it starts getting later. But this will keep us in production of wooden spears, wooden harpoons, and things like that. So you want that clicked so that they will continue to produce. If you right click it again, it will stop it, so it won't be being produced until you actually click on it and tell it to produce one. So make sure you have it clicked so it is set to as needed. So if somebody breaks one, their spear gets worn out, or we get a new person into the village, it'll automatically set one up to be made for them as they come in. And looky there, we've got plenty of knowledge here to go ahead and advance to something else. What I typically like to do is go ahead and unlock bone tools, and the reason for that is because it makes hunting a lot easier once you have the bone tools in. And then after that, I always go for sling making, because that allows us to do long distance hunts where we can actually toss items a further distance to get these critters that are running around. But so far we have pretty much everything set up, but there's one more thing that only after you have all this other stuff set up, you should go ahead and go to storage and set up a rock pile. Now the rock pile acts just like the sticks. This is where they can put sticks and logs, and over here in the rock pile they can put rock, flint, or any ores later down the line. And looky there, we had, oh no, we missed it. We had a trader that came up. The trader, I should have slowed my speed down there. The trader comes up and you can trade some stuff you have. Say if you have an abundance of sticks, you can trade the trader some sticks to get, say, some bread or some raw fish, things like that. Usually the trades aren't too good, but they do help out in situations where if you're going into winter, you don't have enough items. Alright, and the bones, as you kill all these animals, you gather the bones naturally while you're doing it, so it just makes it a little handier. They're better than wood, and they're going to come in very handy. So as you're hunting, make sure you get those bone tools going. So you're going to want to come over here, and as you can see now we have a bone spear instead of a wooden spear. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off production of wooden spear, turn on bone spear. Now the wooden spears that are already produced will still be out there, and your people will be able to use them, but the bone spear is now able to be made, and as you can see, it's 2 stars for hunting, 2 stars for fighting. Over here with the bone spear, it's only 1 star fighting, 1 star hunting. So as soon as you can, switch over to those bones. You should have plenty from what you're gathering. You don't really use bones for anything else. Let's see in here in storage. Nope, not in there, not in there. Over here, there we go. We've got 8 bones stored in there, so they have plenty to use. And bam, here we are. Oh, let me jump into clothing. Clothing gives them protection from the cold. It's what I was talking about earlier. You'll eventually get to the point where you can make different types of clothing. Right now, all we need to really worry about is what we have here. We have skins and leather. Before we get into making the summer outfits, they can survive with the winter outfits. That is just fine. They can take their tops off in the summer if need be. We just want to make sure that they've got the winter outfits. Those are the most important ones. Don't really worry about the leather outfit until later on. Now, as you can see, most of the animals disappeared. We happen to be in a really good spot. A lot of times it's at a river and you won't see many animals at all, but because we're here at a lake, they pretty much have to come here for water. So we got lucky with this position, and animals are still gathering around. But there are times in the winter where you won't see any animals for long periods of time. Now they're telling us we have no flint. So when they give you a little message down here, say that you have something that you're missing, you can look, there's some flint right there. Now, as I said earlier, with gathering the sticks and everything, we can set a work area, and we can set one for flint. Now, I could just click right here for this little pile of flint, but I want to look around. I want to see if there's other piles of flint. There's a pile right there. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get as much close to camp, as much as I can in one circle. So if you look right there, that's 2 inside one circle. So it gives me double the resources to gather. So it pays to take your little research gathering, or your gathering flag, and place it in an area where you're going to gather multiples instead of just sticking it on one like this. And now we can save this flint as a backup, or we can manually click on it and tell our people to gather flint there. Now they won't continuously gather, they'll just go in there and gather a little bit of it, and you'll have to click on it again. Whereas if you have the flags down, they'll continuously gather until they've reached their quota or they've completely mined out the area. But there we are, we got ourselves to the first winter, and we have everything set up to where we survive. So that is how to get started in this game. As you can see, our food is running down low. So again, we'll just click over here and say hunt that animal. We've got our guy over here. He's fishing right now. He's going to bring us some more food. So our food will go back up. Ideally, you don't want to dip below the line, but because I was describing everything that's going on and showing you guys what's happening, I wasn't able to focus as much on the food as I typically would. So we got a little behind with that. But those are the tips to get started. If you do what I did there, it will get you through your first winter, and it will get you started on the game to where you can succeed. Now, for the later things, when you move up, and especially when you're getting into these other areas like the Mesolithic, as I said before, you don't want to just knock these out and immediately jump over there, because raiders are going to start coming. I don't believe the raiders actually appear until the Neolithic, so the Mesolithic is a little bit safer to jump into, but you just don't want to do it immediately, because you want to make sure that you have enough people. So you want to make sure that your population is rising. You want to make sure, look at that now, up to 95%. We were at 65 before, so we've jumped way up there. So that's what I was talking about. You want to make sure that your population is doing well off, and that your population is increasing before you advance up to another age. Now, I'll go ahead and end it here, and next time we'll take a look at, if everybody likes this video and you want to see more of these, we'll go see what it looks like when you do advance to these other ages, and I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to get started with those, because there are a lot of things I learned the last few days in playing this game that really isn't intuitive, that you need to have some practice with before you just automatically know how to jump in and do. So if you did enjoy this, if it helped you out, go ahead and leave a like down there. It really helps the channel. And leave a comment if there's something you want to see, or if you have some knowledge yourself or a way that you do it, let me know. Say something down in the comments, and I'll look at them. I read all the comments. But you guys take care, and we'll see you next time.
This is X's outro. Don't forget to like and subscribe.